I am disappointed that most people have left, but I appreciate many of you still here. I'm going to say a few words and then allow the council to speak to this. First of all, I'm not here to refute anything anyone said. I truly agree with everything that's been said here tonight. My wife is currently employed in one of these agencies, and the budget cuts she may lose her job, so we would lose our income at our home. One of my daughters had worked with Susan Peterson last year. I am employed at Ben Gordon Center, a recipient of these dollars, and have been a recipient of these dollars for the 28 years I've been Ben Gordon Center. I look at many, many familiar faces out there that I've sat on committees, and if I wasn't up here, would have spoken up tonight also at the same time. So please, I think it's important that you don't take any of my comments as I disagree with you or refute any of the things you have said. But I do want to share some issues that we're facing and hopefully help all of you out there understand whether you agree with the things that I share or not with me, but at least allow to hear from the mayor's point of view what it is we're doing and how we are moving forward. First of all, we are not cutting any of your services, and this is not our job to cut services. We have been fortunate to be able to allocate these dollars to all of you for all these years, but economic times have changed, and we here at the city, just like all of you in your agencies and in your personal lives, are having to look at absolutely every aspect of your budget, which we've had to do. I also appreciated Mr. Pettle's comments that I would certainly hope that you would fill every council chamber here in DeKalb County who give nothing or very little to any of these services. And if you're not doing that, and you're just coming to this council, you're missing an opportunity to receive funding from other communities, since these agencies serve the entire community of DeKalb County and not just DeKalb. I also look at that, and I hope you don't confuse our funding with state funding. And there was a very good article that I read and was quoted in, but I look at the page here where I see that Pam Wiseman, who I see out in the audience there, who I've worked with for many years, says that Safe Passage is proposing that they receive a $300,000 cut from the state. $300,000 from the state. And I don't want to minimize by any means what we are proposing in this fiscal year, but our cut is $4,400. I hope, ladies and gentlemen, that you take this same entourage, and I mean this sincerely, and go down to Springfield, where I look at a report that I got today from a child care agency that says that of the $3.5 billion that are needed, the state is considering only funding 1.6. If that doesn't get you down to Springfield, I don't know what will. That ISBE, the Illinois State Board of Education, has a $900 million need, with the state only funding $500 million. So I say this because I am pleased that you're here and we hear what you're saying, and we are taking this very, very seriously and with a very, very heavy heart. But I encourage you to do the same with all of these funding agencies that either do not fund you or that are considering hundreds of thousands of dollars of cuts to these agencies. I, on vacation last week, personally called our legislators and encouraged them to not cut social service funding. The other thing that I think it's important to keep in mind, and I don't want to minimize any of these dollars because in our own personal lives, each single dollar means something, but the proposed cut to some of these agencies are less than 1/4% of their budget. And again, 1/4% of a budget is extremely important. But the other 99.75% of a cut is really what counts. The city has put together a very, very fragile budget, and we have some assumptions that still all of them have not been met. No raises to our city staff, no step increases to our city staff. And if we don't come to some concessions with our city staff, we will be laying off people. We will be laying off the vital services come the end of the month. We are asking that we reduce, at least for this fiscal year, 25% of our social service funding. We took $150,000 out of our police department fund to build a much-needed public safety building last year and another 150 this year to zero that out, so we can't move forward with a public safety building because people are more important than bricks and mortar. We've made a commitment to no new taxes. One of the things that I heard during a very long campaign was you need to live within your limits. We cannot tax you anymore, and we are committed to not tax anymore. One of the things that you might want to consider is take your words and let's go to referendum and see whether or not the DeKalb County, who are recipients of all of these agencies, go to referendum to support what you do, so the more money comes from the entire county and not just the city of DeKalb. We're closing a county home TIF. Well, I've heard a lot about TIF. We're closing that out, which puts money into the general fund. We're increasing some revenues, as you heard tonight, from the central business district that will allow us more money into the general fund. And finally, we have not filled 16 positions. 16 positions, I want to reiterate that. That's fire, that's police, that's public service, the services that are so vital to this community. This is a very, very fragile budget, and at a time we need to take a look at all aspects of it. I heard a lot tonight about the EPI report. We will, and I made a commitment tonight to one of the agency reps that we will be considering, though this is in the 5-year plan, we will be considering very seriously as we review this EPI to evaluate and restructure much of the way we do business in this next year. We were criticized for not jumping on that with 6 weeks to the budget, but we felt we needed to put a rather fragile budget together so that we could balance the budget this year. But if you look at our projections into the next 2 or 3 years, we will be bankrupt in 2 years unless we make some very, very considerations. So we will be evaluating this. Public service funding will be a major part of this evaluation within the next year. And it is my hope that with some additional revenues or some further cuts or some ways that we can prioritize, that we will not have to do any further cuts than the 25% this year. Now, I know that's not something that you wanted to hear, but it is, I thought it was important you kind of understand from the standpoint of where I am and the tough decisions that we're making up here, why we're doing what we're doing, and we certainly support everything that you have said tonight. So I thank you. I wish we had more input with all these issues. Like I said, we still have probably another 2 hours of a meeting, and I would like to have you all discuss the issue of all of these things tonight. So thank you very much, and we will stay in touch. And it is with a heavy heart, and it is a very difficult decision that all of us are having to make as we wrestle with many, many tough decisions to make sure that our city services continue here.